If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
I'm Rodney Williams.
And I'm Travis Holloway. Welcome to the Wealth Break Podcast, a real conversation about finance.
Let's be honest, building wealth doesn't look the same for everyone.
I feel like sometimes being broke is a cycle and that we might have to revisit that.
And we're not stopping at success stories.
What happens when it doesn't go right? How do you cope with it?
Because wealth isn't just about money. It's about creating a life where you thrive and help others do the same.
Listen to the Wealth Break Podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
Check out Vizio's complete lineup of home entertainment. From stunning smart TVs to immersive soundbars, Vizio has you covered. Experience entertainment like never before with hundreds of built-in apps, including Watch Free Plus for free live and on-demand TV, all ready to go right out of the box. You can even stream your favorite music, radio, and podcasts with the iHeartRadio app, available on every Vizio smart TV. Transform your entertainment with incredible picture quality and next-level audio. Visit Vizio.com today.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
6:06, Doug McIntyre in for Tim Conway Jr. right here at KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Mo Kelly at 7 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday as well. Timmy is out there recharging his batteries, and he will be back in the saddle after Thanksgiving. And we're happy to have you with us later this hour. We're going to talk Happy Days, the 50th anniversary of that landmark television series. Brian Levant and Fred Fox Jr. will be with us. They were writers on the show, and they've got a brand new book called 50 Years of Happy Days, a visual history of an American television classic. Tomorrow, we're going to talk Zeppo. There's a new biography. If you're a Marx Brothers fan, there's a biography of Zeppo. You got to talk to the author of that. And by the way, on Wednesday, Shemp of the Three Stooges. Yes. This is literature, ladies and gentlemen. The people have a right to know. So we'll get into all of that. But I saw this story, and I saved it for a talk radio opportunity because I think it's pretty interesting. We are constantly hectored about living healthy lives so we can live longer. And the whole thing is, you get to be dead for a very, very long time. So, most people try to delay that inevitability as much as possible. And I think one of the things that we tend to say as younger people, I'm no longer one of them, but when you're younger people, you say, oh, man, it gets to the point where you're in adult diapers and you're in a nursing home. Please, somebody just shoot me. The number of times that I said it, and I've heard people say it, and I hear people say it, but where you don't hear that said is in a nursing home. People wearing adult diapers don't say, shoot me. So we want to live, the yearning, the desire to live longer is really strong. And we've made incredible strides, despite the fact that for every step forward science comes up with, we seem to do our best to undo it by saying, yeah, put some bacon on that. Put some cheese in the pizza crust. Cheese stuffed crust pizza. Oh, boy. We really just keep loading on the lard. So, we find ways to off ourselves, but science keeps pushing up life expectancy, which is a great accomplishment. Women continue to live longer than men. Life expectancy improvements are still occurring. The researchers found in 1990, the average amount of improvement was about 2.5 years per decade. And in the 2010s, it was 1.5 years and almost zero in the U.S. Now, this is what we're getting to. The new study comes out. This guy, S.J. Oleshansky, University of Illinois, Chicago, researcher, in the journal Nature Aging, said that we may have reached a plateau in human longevity. In other words, yes, more people are making it to 100 years of age, but that doesn't mean that we're on the road to 125. Now, I remember the first time I was invited to a 90-year-old's birthday party. This has got to be, 20 years ago now. I was invited to a 90-year-old's birthday party, and I went, and they had a tablecloth, paper hats, paper plates, and napkins that said Happy 90th that were commercially produced. And, I'm not in party stores a lot. Every day of my life is a party, but I don't need to go to a store for that. But I went, then I was curious, and I asked them, I said, oh yeah, they make this stuff. I went to one of these party supply stores, and they make stuff for people who are 100. There's enough people who are making it to 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, all the way to 100. I don't know if they go beyond 100. I don't remember that. But you can get napkins and paper plates and party supplies for Uncle Carl's 100th birthday. That there's enough people that it is economically feasible, desirable to have products on a store shelf that people will come in and say, yeah, I need that. We're having a party for somebody who just turned 100. In fact, I have a friend of mine, Terry Gibbs, great jazz musician, the vibraphonist, who just turned 100 in October. And he's doing unbelievable. If I could be 100 like Terry Gibbs is 100, give me the pen. I'll sign that deal right now, because he is living life. And, he beat the system. He's totally beat the system. He's a winner in the game of life for every reason, but specifically in terms of health and cognitive ability and creativity and fun and all that good stuff. If you're drooling and you're zombified, no, people, most people would say, no, please. It's a cruelty to just keep essentially respiration going. But again, I don't see a lot of people volunteering to climb in that suicide machine they have over in Switzerland. Meanwhile, all of these efforts to extend human existence, scientists believe may have a cap, because eventually living things die. Everything eventually croaks, even those gigantic sequoia trees and redwood trees, or, there's a shark that they keep showing. I see it on the internet. They say it swims around Greenland. That's 400 years old. It goes back to the time of Shakespeare. I don't know how they know that the shark is 400 years old, but they seem to know that the shark is 400 years old. And I've seen pictures of it, and it does look like an old shark. I think it has to gum you to death because its teeth are in a glass on the nightstand. But anyway, human beings have a life expectancy, and this is one of the conceits of our time, that we live longer than they did, for instance, in the age of George Washington. And George Washington was 67 when he died. But John Adams was 90. And Thomas Jefferson was 87, and I think Ben Franklin was around that as well. So lots of people in the 1700s would live into their 80s and 90s if they made it past their 20s, because there were lots of things that could kill you, especially women, between childbirth, which was incredibly lethal, and then the other cause of death was hearth fires. When cooking was done over the open flame in a fireplace, women's dresses burst into flames, caught on fire, and it killed them. It was a terrible, gruesome way to go. So there were lots of things that could kill you. If you broke your leg and it got infected, or you had a wound, they didn't have antibiotics, they didn't have any of that stuff, so you died early. But the species of human beings, the life expectancy of a healthy man or a healthy woman who survives all of the infancy issues and the dumb things that guys do, especially when we're in our teens and 20s. Boy, we kill ourselves in stupid ways, doing stupid things. And you just look at your average TikTok video and you can see where this is headed. But if you survive all of that stuff, then life expectancy is really pretty much the same as it's always been. Now, there are parts of the world, because of socioeconomic conditions, where there have been amazing strides. For instance, in sub-Saharan Africa, where people routinely, the life expectancy was shockingly low, we've added 25 years to life expectancy in the last 25 years because of the introduction of modern medicines and health, better drinking water, and some real sanitation, some real, life 101 stuff that we take for granted, that in parts of the world are still astonishing luxuries. But given that you have access to basic stuff, the human being can routinely live into the 80s and 90s and even 100, and that's what people have always done. It's just that more people can reach that mark now because more people live under better conditions, and more people have access to medicines that were unthinkable in earlier times. But if you're planning on being one of those people that lives to be 150, you may have to re-examine. By the way, I don't want to have to call my financial planner and say, hey, Peter, I was just talking to Penny, and we think we're going to try to make a shot at living to 150. And he's going to say, listen, dope, we got you penciled out to running out of money around 98. So I don't know what you're going to do for those last 52 years, but you may have to go get an orange apron and see if they're hiring 103-year-olds at Home Depot.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
And coming up in just a bit on the after the bottom of the hour news, we're going to yak with Fred Fox Jr., as well as with Brian Levant. They've got a new book, 50 Years of Happy Days, a visual history of an American television classic. They were writers on the show, and we'll get into all of that. I saw this story in the LA Daily News. It's in the OC Register as well, and thought, you don't hear about horse thieves much anymore because we're not using as many horses for everyday life as we once did. But we're sure using Amazon Prime, and we're using UPS. And the Porch Pirates are out there, and they're dash and grab. But, the old rule is that if you build a better mousetrap, you just get smarter mice. And with Ring doorbells and all of the security cameras that everybody's got everywhere, so people are trying to find new ways of grabbing packages and dashing. And this guy certainly came up with an original method. This is somewhere in Irvine, in a neighborhood there. A man was seen waiting in front of a house. And when the UPS guy showed up, the man showed the UPS driver a driver's license, and he signed for the package, which is what they ask you to do. Because he's my ID. Yeah, okay, he signs for it. And it contained an Apple MacBook Pro. And then the guy gets into a gray sedan with no license plate and takes off. So the guy just waited until the UPS guy shows up and then signed for the package and split. Now, I'm not sure if he knew that somehow he knew that whoever was the proper owner of the package had ordered a MacBook Pro. And I don't know what was on the driver's license that made the UPS guy says, oh, all right, I guess it's okay to give you the package. I just know that every time you have a new way of doing something, somebody immediately tries to find the soft underbelly. There was a famous story in New Jersey. It's got to be 50 years ago. It's got to be 50 years ago, before ATM machines were popular. And there was a guy in New Jersey when they had night deposit retailers could make night deposits to their bank. So they'd have a key to a metal vault on the outside of the building, and you'd open the key and you could put in your cash receipts and it would be secure in the bank. And then in the morning they would process it. Well, some crook put a sign out in front of the bank that said, pardon our dust while we remodel. Use the temporary night deposit box. And they just had a metal box under the wooden sign. And the guy would put this thing out every night when the bank was closed and pick it up at like 5 a.m. before anybody in the bank would show up. And there'd be thousands of dollars thrown in there, just in canvas bags by people who were used to using the night deposit box. And then they finally figured out, well, where'd the money go? And then they waited and they caught them. But anyway, this guy's got a new scam. Apparently this happened on November 18th. A video from a Ring doorbell camera captures the scene, including a blurry image of the man's face, white shirt, and dark pants. He's now wanted for theft, according to Irvine police. He first intercepted the truck some blocks away, attempted to sign for the package at that point. An Irvine police spokesman said that the driver reportedly told the man that the package had to be delivered and signed for at the home, so he went to that house. And then he waited for the truck to show up. And the victim told police that the UPS driver said the man showed an ID with the resident's name on it. Now, the cops haven't confirmed that yet. He obviously knew that the MacBook was on the truck. Well, there's a lot of questions about how this happened. We're not quite sure yet how any of that adds up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, remind you that the holidays are here, the Disneyland Resort, and KFI wants to give you the chance to enjoy the wonder, joy, and magic of the season. Experience the World of Color Season of Light and Nighttime Spectacular at Disney California Adventure Park. And over at Disneyland Park, rediscover the holiday classics like A Christmas Fantasy Parade and so much more. Keep listening to KFI for your chance to win a 4-pack of one-day, one-park tickets to Disneyland Park or California Adventure Park. This story fascinates me as well. And here's another story that sure looks like there's something crooked going on, but so far no one really knows what it is. Andrew, you had this story about the Macy's employee, apparently, who for 3 years hid $154 million in expenses, and they don't know why. This person is no longer part of the accounting department. The department store chain, which also operates Bloomingdale's and Blue Mercury Cosmetics chain, in addition to, of course, all the Macy's stores, said that it identified an issue related to delivery expenses in one of its actuarial accounts earlier this month. An independent investigation and forensics analysis found that a single employee with responsibility for small package delivery expense accounting intentionally made erroneous accounting accrual entries to hide roughly $132 million to $154 million of expenses from the fourth quarter of 2021 through the fiscal quarter ending on November 2nd.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. Like, it's a very odd thing to do. Like, the purpose is really, like, why?
They don't think that this guy skimmed, whoever this person is, skimmed any of the money. So then why would they do this? By the way, these numbers are staggering. There's $4.36 billion of delivery expenses from the Macy's company. So I guess this is what they are ordering stuff or they're sending stuff out. How do you run up? Again, this is one quarter. They're talking about a quarter that ended November 2nd. Of anywhere up to $154 million of small package deliveries expenses. So, if you're wondering why Macy's is having financial trouble, maybe it's not just the internet shopping. Maybe they got to look at how much they're spending to get this stuff sent in and out of their store. Because, man, that's a ton of dough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some headlines. When we come back, we're going to talk happy days. We could use a little happy days, right? Man, you look at the headlines, it's very depressing. But meanwhile, things will get better, I guess.
We all know that feeling. You finally manage to get away on vacation and the worrying starts. Will that bogus "Beware of Dogs" sign keep your home safe? What about that fake camera you set up? And will someone finally find your old hide and key rock? That's where ADT comes in. All that stuff, it's safe-ish. It seems fine when you don't really think about it, but you know it truly doesn't work. Instead, ADT provides security solutions that keep you actually safe, giving you real peace of mind. Because vacation is supposed to be, relaxing. Don't settle for safe-ish. Visit ADT.com today to learn more.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from The Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Check out Vizio's complete lineup of home entertainment. From stunning smart TVs to immersive soundbars, Vizio has you covered. Experience entertainment like never before with hundreds of built-in apps, including Watch Free Plus for free live and on-demand TV, all ready to go right out of the box. You can even stream your favorite music, radio, and podcasts with the iHeartRadio app, available on every Vizio smart TV. Transform your entertainment with incredible picture quality and next-level audio. Visit Vizio.com today.
I'm Rodney Williams.
And I'm Travis Holloway. Welcome to the Wealth Break.
Let's be honest, building wealth doesn't look the same for everyone. It's not just about saving, it's about investing. It's about navigating systems that weren't built for you, embracing your hustle, and relying on your community to create something bigger.
And that's exactly why we created the Wealth Break. We made something different, something more human. It's not just another financial podcast. It's a conversation about real life, real struggles, and real wins.
We're here to talk about the journey. You'll hear from people who've broken barriers, found creative ways to succeed, and learned to build wealth on their terms. Whether it's the first-time homeowner, a gig worker, or someone turning a side hustle into a six-figure business, we're bringing you their stories.
And we're not stopping at success stories. We're breaking down the realities, like what it means to take risk, how to navigate failure, and why resilience matters. Because wealth isn't about money. It's about creating a life where you can thrive and help others to do the same.
So if you're ready for a podcast as much as about people as it is about money, you're in the right place.
Listen to the Wealth Break podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Doug McIntyre in for Tim Conway Jr. And that theme song dominated the TV landscape for 10 years, 1974 to 1984, 255 half-hour episodes of one of the most beloved TV series in history. Happy Days, of course, Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz, and the whole Cunningham family, the whole gang. There's a brand new book out celebrating the 50th anniversary of this landmark series. It is written by two of the producers on that series, Brian Levant and Fred Fox Jr. The book is called Happy Days, 50 Years of Happy Days, a visual history of an American television classic. Welcome to the show, Brian Levant. Brian, how are you?
Wonderful. So happy to be here.
And Fred Fox Jr., welcome aboard. How are you?
Thanks so much. Yeah, great that you're having us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's fun. Like everybody in America, I clocked my Happy Days time. And, you know, now I've first had to get over the shock that the show is 50 years old, because it was sort of a kind of a fantasy version of the 1950s, and now it's 50 years old. It's we're going to have a 1974 nostalgia.
That's what the 70s show was for.
Yeah, that's right. Man, these years are piling up. Let's start with you guys. You worked on the show. When you were, Brian, when you were on Happy Days, did you have any idea that this thing was going to have the life that it has had?
Oh, well, you know, I was in college when the show began, and I was walking out the door actually for my fourth date with now my wife of 49 years. And my mom said, hey, there's a new show you might like from Gary Marshall, you know, from the Dick Van Dyke Show. It's set in the 50s. And I watched it, and I enjoyed it. And I watched as it struggled in its first two seasons and then exploded in its third season. And I was very fortunate to have wrangled a story meeting with Gary Marshall based on my performance at his Saturday morning basketball game, believe it or not.
That's the key to writing, is a jump shot.
And luckily, I climbed those 29 steps to K Building when I was 23, and the last time I came down, I was 31. And Fred was there even longer.
Now, Fred, you really kind of grew up in the business because your dad was a Bob Hope writer for many, many years, wrote for George Burns and many others. But when you joined, tell us about your early days when you joined the Happy Days staff. I mean, was it already a hit, or was it also still in those struggling? Were you there during the early years when it was just still trying to find itself?
No, to kind of preface that, as you said, my father's in business, very successful, very funny man. Growing up, I thought it was so neat. Dad was a writer. Never entered my mind that I would do it. In 1974, I took a comedy extension class at UCLA. There's a gentleman there who's in an advertising business, and we hit it off, and we wrote a spec, All in the Family, together. Didn't hear back for a couple of months, and then we got a letter saying, hey, you guys are very funny, but we're through for the year. And the
gentleman I wrote it with was Gary Shandling.
That's whatever became of him, huh?
Yeah, I know, it's very sad. But I got a call from Cindy Williams in New Year's Eve 1975. Cindy and I went to high school together. She said, Fred, I'm doing a show called Laverne and Shirley. It could be a flop, but if you want to be my gopher assistant, you could, after rehearsal, you could go to the writer's room. So she got me a meeting with Gary Marshall. I walked in the door. He said, so you're Freddie Fox's kid. And when Gary and Jerry Belton came out to be writers, one of the first shows they were on was the Joey Bishop show. And fortunately, Dad was very encouraging to him. And Gary said, no, Fred, I know you want to write. And I almost went, really? But he said, right now, I just need someone. If Cindy needs her dry cleaning picked up or a car wash, do that so she can concentrate on the show. And I'm very lucky. I got an assignment to write an episode that Ron Howard and Anson Williams guest starred. And fortunately went very well. And Gary asked me if I'd go to Happy Days. So, I started in 1976.
And was there for over 200 episodes.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a lot of roads into show. There's actually more roads out of show business there are into them. But and I found all of them. We're talking about Brian Levant, who had a great career as both a writer and a director, including the Flintstones movie and Beethoven and, Snow Dogs and a whole bunch of stuff, and as well as Fred Fox Jr., who worked on Family Matters and a bunch of big hit shows. So talk to us, guys, if you can, about the book, about 50 years of Happy Days of visual history of America. I saw it. I was at Diesel Books over in Brentwood yesterday, and I saw copies of it there. It's beautiful. It's lots of pictures. So talk to us about how did this come about?
Well, after I did my first book of all my intersection of my career and collections, looking for another challenge. And I'm talking to Fred, and we realized that nobody had ever done a book on Happy Days. Incredibly, every major show. If you go to Amazon, there isn't a big show that doesn't have a history. And so we decided that we were going to do it, and it was a long, difficult road in getting Paramount to come aboard and finding a publisher who would agree to let me design the book. And we wanted to tell an insider's story, because most books about TV shows are written by outsiders. I would say all of them, basically. And the difference here is that we were there for so much of the history, and our relationship with the cast, with the various showrunners over the decade that the show was in production, allowed us to really recreate the era before we were involved, and allowed us to surf on their success and the sacrifices and the difficulties that led to becoming an international, once-in-a-decade phenomena.
And it really was. There's a famous picture of John Lennon on the set of Happy Days posing with Fonzie. Right. I mean, because he and Julian, Julian was a huge Happy Days fan, so John Lennon was there with Fonzie. I mean, everybody wanted a piece of it.
And the cast still can't believe it. But the best part of that is 20 years later, Julian's recording doing a video for his first album, Volate. And he knocks on Henry Winkler's office door, pops his head in and goes, "Remember me?"
Yeah, Fred, what was life like? Shows can. I've had my own years as a TV writer producer, and I worked on some terrible shows that were really great jobs because the atmosphere, the cast, the writer's room was a lot of laughs. You always wish the show could be better. And then I've worked on really good shows where it was hell on earth. It was the Bataan Death March of comedy. It's like you can't believe it was this difficult to do this thing. In fact, Laverne and Shirley kind of famously had a very, very contentious atmosphere, and I'm being polite there. But what was the general tenor of Happy Days?
It was, Brian, I describe it as just a safe heaven. Gary set the tone. It was a very comfortable environment. An example of that, when my first week, I go to the writer's room, and at the time, the new guy or girl couldn't just pitch a joke. So as we're going over, if we're looking for a joke, I had to write it down on a piece of paper and hand it to a real writer. And if it bombed, they wouldn't say, "Oh, the stupid new guy's not funny." But if it got a big laugh, they go, "Hey, that was Fred's." So then I was able to start, pitching myself. And as I said, got a script. And it was just such an incredible environment and very, very
It was so
encouraging.
different from every other show we ever worked on. Is you had an incredible sense of security. The cast loved each other. Ron Howard set the tone and tempo for behavior, for a work ethic, and everybody contributed and everybody bought into this system.
Well, it was a unique situation because, as you point out, the name Gary Marshall will keep coming up because he was such a huge force, not just on that show, but basically saved ABC back in the 70s.
At one point, he had 4 of the top 5 series in television.
I think they built the commissary just to feed his crews. I'm not kidding. But above and beyond
a lot
that,
of Jell-O.
and rice cakes. But above and beyond that, he had an ethos of life is more important than show business in Camp Marshall Mount, and he actually nurtured. Gary gave so many new people their first job, and more importantly, he gave a lot of older writers and actors their last job. When people needed to make their health insurance, he took care of that. And that does set a tone for everybody else to follow. And the fact that Ron Howard grew up literally, he learned to learned his letters so he could sign autographs as a 4-year-old on the Andy Griffith Show. That changes things too. We're talking about Brian Levant and Fred Fox Jr. who are going to hang with us for another segment. The book is called 50 Years of Happy Days, a visual history of an American television classic. It's in bookstores. And by the way, on December 13th at the Gary Marshall Theater, right on Riverside Drive, just a few miles from here in Toluca Lake, you're doing a book event at the Gary Marshall Theater, and folks want to check that out too.
You're listening.
We all know that feeling. You finally manage to get away on vacation and the worrying starts. Will that bogus "beware of dogs" sign keep your home safe? What about that fake camera you set up? And will someone finally find your old hide and key rock? That's where ADT comes in. All that stuff, it's safe-ish. It seems fine when you don't really think about it, but you know it truly doesn't work. Instead, ADT provides security solutions that keep you actually safe, giving you real peace of mind. Because vacation is supposed to be, relaxing. Don't settle for safe-ish. Visit ADT.com today to learn more.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Check out Vizio's complete lineup of home entertainment. From stunning smart TVs to immersive soundbars, Vizio has you covered. Experience entertainment like never before with hundreds of built-in apps, including Watch Free Plus for free live and on-demand TV, all ready to go right out of the box. You can even stream your favorite music, radio, and podcasts with the iHeartRadio app, available on every Vizio smart TV. Transform your entertainment with incredible picture quality and next-level audio. Visit Vizio.com today.
I'm Rodney Williams.
And I'm Travis Holloway. Welcome to the Wealth Break.
Let's be honest, building wealth doesn't look the same for everyone. It's not just about saving, it's about investing. It's about navigating systems that weren't built for you, embracing your hustle, and relying on your community to create something bigger.
And that's exactly why we created the Wealth Break. We made something different, something more human. It's not just another financial podcast. It's a conversation about real life, real struggles, and real wins.
We're here to talk about the journey. You'll hear from people who've broken barriers, found creative ways to succeed, and learned to build wealth on their terms. Whether it's the first-time homeowner, a gig worker, or someone turning a side hustle into a six-figure business, we're bringing you their stories.
And we're not stopping at success stories. We're breaking down the realities, like what it means to take risk, how to navigate failure, and why resilience matters. Because wealth isn't about money. It's about creating a life where you can thrive and help others to do the same.
So if you're ready for a podcast as much as about people as it is about money, you're in the right place.
Listen to the Wealth Break podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
To Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Doug McIntyre in for Tim Conway Jr. Mo Kelly up at 7 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 in the afternoon, and we'll try this again. Maybe tomorrow we'll get it right. We're talking about Brian Levant and Fred Fox Jr. They are the co-authors of 50 Years of Happy Days, a visual history of an American television classic. And the book is out in bookstores and makes a great holiday gift for all your Happy Days fans out there. And, it's hard to imagine, guys, that someone will, in the future, will do a TV show sort of waxing nostalgic about the 2020s. Remember COVID? Remember the pandemic? Remember drive-by shootings? These kids today don't know.
Black Lives Matter. It's time.
Occupy Wall Street. Oh, those were the days, the good old days. But, Happy Days was never really about the 50s. It was about that family, and it was always about family. But there was something weird going on between American Graffiti, but Happy Days really started as a sketch on Love American Style. Is that correct?
It actually was a pilot, originally called New Family in Town, then The Happy Days, that starred Ron Howard, Marion Ross, and Anson Williams, with different actors playing Howard Cunningham and Joni Cunningham. There was no Fonzie. And the pilot, like 75% of all pilots made, it didn't sell. They played it off on Love American Style, but that is what casting director Fred Roos showed his writer, producer, director, George Lucas, who was preparing to do American Graffiti, in order to familiarize him with the grown-up Ron Howard, who eventually got the role as Steve Bolander in Graffiti, which turned out to be, in today's dollars, well beyond $1 billion for a movie that cost then a pittance, under $1 million, with a double platinum album, and every network was scrambling to find a retro youth project. And Gary Marshall called up AB, you already made that show with the kid who's in the movie. And they got another bite at the apple. And Gary teamed up with Rob Reiner and his writing partner Phil Mishkin to write a new pilot. Henry Winkler was added to the cast. Don Most was added to the cast. Tom Bosley, Aaron Moran were added to the cast. And on January 15th, 1974, the show debuted to very strong numbers and remained very powerful, especially for ABC. Show through the first season, and the second season, the ratings crashed.
Now, why do I have this right? When it first came on the air, it was a block and tape show, meaning there was no audience. It was shot.
It was a movie style.
Right, movie style.
Nostalgic, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of music.
Right. But when the audience, when they brought in a live audience, that's when the audience, America, told everybody, no, the show is Fonzie. Fonzie's the heat here, because he would enter and they'd go crazy.
Right. Well, the very
did for everyone, actually.
Right. In the very first episode, Fonzie finally speaks with maybe two minutes left in the episode. And then all of a sudden, just takes off and Fonzomania happened.
Right. And, they took advantage of his budding popularity, transformed the show into a 3-camera show, shot in front of an audience, and it unleashed these people's personalities. And the energy was just furious. Now, you worked on You Again, right?
Well, I worked with Klugman and actually Gary on that. Right.
Okay, and was Jerry Paris involved in that?
Yeah, he did. We, in fact, the last 2 episodes of his life.
Exactly. But Jerry Paris was capable of infusing performances with an energy that was virtually unseen in weekly television. That was his gift.
Yeah, he knew how to move the actors. I have to really quickly squeak this in as we run out of time.
Sure.
Fred, you wrote the famous/infamous Jump the Shark episode of Happy Days, which sort of became an archetype for when something's gone beyond the buoy or over its life. But the point is, the show ran for another 4 successful years after it jumped the shark.
Oh, more than that.
Exactly. Lee Marley, who high school friend, was with the LA Times for years, and I think it was 2001. He asked me to write an article on that whole Jump the Shark, and it's kind of known as in defense of Jump the Shark because, when it first happened, I thought I should wear a scarlet F on my chest and, be shamed. And but as you said, afterwards we did 164 more episodes, and I think some of our best episodes at all. And that was 1978 when we did that episode, and then it went on the air till 84.
Well, we should all have those struggles, everybody, right? Let's talk about December 13th. You're at the Gary Marshall Theater, and what time is that?
I believe it begins at 7. We're going to be showing the original 74 pilot, and then we're going to be joined on stage by Lowell Gans and William S. Bickley, the other surviving showrunners of Happy Days, and we'll have exclusive video that we've assembled for the event, and it'll be moderated by Gary's son, the director and writer, Scott Marshall.
All right, so you don't want to miss that, folks. And the book, 50 Years of Happy Days, A Visual History of an American Television Classic, is in bookstores, and that Mr. Bezos will be happy to send it to you or the recipient of your dreams. Guys, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it. Brian Levant and Fred Fox Jr. And my thanks to everybody here at KFI. Richie, great job. Isabel and Steph, thank you. And I'm going to slide down the dinosaur. I will be back tomorrow.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
I'm Rodney Williams.
And I'm Travis Holloway. Welcome to the Wealth Break Podcast, a real conversation about finance.
Let's be honest, building wealth doesn't look the same for everyone.
I feel like sometimes being broke is a cycle and that we might have to revisit that.
And we're not stopping at success stories.
What happens when it doesn't go right? How do you cope with it?
Because wealth isn't just about money. It's about creating a life where you thrive and help others do the same.
Listen to the Wealth Break Podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
Check out Vizio's complete lineup of home entertainment. From stunning smart TVs to immersive soundbars, Vizio has you covered. Experience entertainment like never before with hundreds of built-in apps, including Watch Free Plus for free live and on-demand TV, all ready to go right out of the box. You can even stream your favorite music, radio, and podcasts with the iHeartRadio app, available on every Vizio smart TV. Transform your entertainment with incredible picture quality and next-level audio. Visit Vizio.com today.